But this gloopiness that you see all sloppy, by having this first thing in the morning, those polysaccharides lubricate and soothe your intestinal tract. For anybody that has inflamed bowel syndromes, any problem, colitis, any itis in the intestine, it's cooled and soothed by using foods like these with the high polysaccharides. And on top of it, it helps bind off with fat, and as Homer mentioned, it binds off with the sugars. So if you're going to have sugars in your fruits, sugars like in your agave maple syrup, whatever it is you put in your food that has sugar quality and you want to delay or reduce the absorption, by adding the chia seed in, you're slowing down the absorption of those sugars into the bloodstream so it doesn't tax the pancreas as much. That's why it's beneficial for diabetics, and I believe it's beneficial for anybody to use these seeds. So I'll stop babbling about the seeds, but the more I got into it, I was dumbfounded with the nutritional values. This exceeds almost everything that I know of.
Sure.
And if,
is this a form of entertainment where you can grow a chia pet too?
you know, I'm glad you said that. I was going to say that in the beginning. I get babbling. I totally forgot. Yes, this is the same chia that they had back in the 70s and the 80s. You know, the little chia pet guy that was growing hair up. This is it. And all the time I remember watching that commercial as a kid and never ever thought you could eat it. I thought it was just something you grew in this funny little thing for kids to grow, chia pet. And I remember the little song that went with it. Man, if they had only known, they could have been eating this. So yes, it is the same chia. I'm glad you got me off on the tangent. So let's get into the recipe. You see right there, the first recipe is the basic seed gel, 2 tablespoons a day. Remember, 1 tablespoon has enough to feed a person's energy to last them 24 hours. So imagine 2 tablespoons, that's 2 days worth of energy. And the cool thing on this grain, I've seen references that these grains will last up to 5 to 10 years and still be stable. So what are you going to do for long term and have lots of fuel and energy in your house? Get some chia seed and put it away and keep it around. Great thing to pull out if times are lean and you're looking for something to sustain you. What would you do as emergency food when you're traveling? You better believe from now on I'm going to be traveling with some chia seed. 1 tablespoon is going to sustain me for 24 hours. If I'm traveling and I get lost or can't find food, I'm going to dig out some chia out of my pocket. I'll guarantee you that from this day forward. So back to the recipes. We've got the second one is fruity chia. It's really, really simple. I'll move everything out so John can see what's going on with the camera. We've got 2 small apples instead of 3 on your recipe sheet. And the reason these are not small, these are big. These are heirloom variety York apples that we got next door at Food and Thought, grown by the Amish Dutch up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. An heirloom variety, so we know it's going to have a higher nutritional value. And we've always talked about the great natural pectins available in apples, which help chelate heavy metals, plus the boron that's naturally, especially around the seed. And the kicker is, not only is the chia seed a high source of calcium, you look on the chart, it's a great source of boron. And boron is one of those natural minerals that helps maintain your bone density. So right there's a nice combination. We got 2 sources of boron going in, with the apple and with the chia seed. I've got 8 dates, and of course I took the dates. These are deglets. They're a little bit harder, so I like to soak them with water to soften them. If you use the medjool, you won't have to soak them as long, but the deglets are a little bit cheaper, so I'll use the deglets. And then, just for a little spin, a 1/4 cup of mulberries. And that's one that's not commonly used. I don't know if you remember the song, Here We Go Around the Mulberry Bush. Right there's your mulberries. We got them dry, so I've just soaked them for a couple hours just to moisten them. And a little bit of cinnamon. Now that's not on your recipe sheet because it wasn't on the original recipe, but to me, cinnamon and apples goes together like peanut butter and jelly, only healthier. I'm just cutting my cores away. You don't have to be fancy with your cuts. This is just going to chop up. I'm going to take all my apples, throw them in the food processor and grind them up. Then we'll slowly add in our dates. And then we'll mix in our cinnamon and the mulberries on the side. And this becomes just a nice mash that you can use first thing in the morning. What are you going to do for breakfast? I like fruits in the morning. They're the lightest and the freshest for the body. It's a nice way to start off the day. So by adding in this little mash, we've got beautiful protein available in the seeds. Beautiful pectins available in the apple. Nice boron, great source of calcium. Good potassium available in the seeds. And it tastes good. Okay. Enough chopping of these York apples. And I'll tell you, if you're buying apples and you like your hybrid pink ladies, and she used to be one I like, what's the other one? Honey Crisp, everybody's on now. It's like you're getting all sweet, you get all that crispness, but are you really getting the nutrients? Those hybrids aren't drawing the minerals out of the soil the way these old-fashioned heirloom varieties are. So anytime you can find an heirloom variety, get the heirloom. About 6 to 8, a little bit of the water. That'll do us just fine. Couple more chops. You see, this is how it's going to come out. Nice and thick mash. This you can even use a spread. If you had your Chia bread slices laid out, you can spread this right on top. It makes a nice spread. Kind of like an applesauce consistency. A little bit more grinding, come on you. There we go. One apple's just not agreeing. There we go. Almost there. Put our mulberries in. Just waiting for one piece of apple to keep spinning. If I had taken the time and chopped it up, it would have been already done. Which I think I'm going to. Slow down the process. Okay, now we're in business. There we go. Bring our Chia spoon back. Slide it right in. Now I'm going to throw a pinch of cinnamon in just because it belongs in there by flavor, I think, even though it's not part of the original recipe. And then we need some chia seeds. About 4 or 5 tablespoons. And in this case, we're going to use the dry. Because chia is very hydrophilic, so it's going to absorb all the surrounding water. And you see how soft and creamy it is now? In just a few minutes, it's going to get nice and thick like this. And it's going to give us nice, thick body texture. That's it. You know, if I hadn't had a little difficulty in my grinding with the food processor, this would be a 2-minute recipe, I'll bet you. That's what I found with all these chia recipes. They were all simple, very quick, and easy to whip off. So we're going to mix this all in together. Use the chia in the cranberry sauce recipe, yes. Any recipe that you'd use the flax or the psyllium to make a thicker body, this chia is going to work very well because it does get very gelatinous. Wait till you get to the next one is my favorite. And this is the one that's going to stun you. It stunned me. The raw rice pudding recipe. It is there. If you like rice pudding, this recipe makes it. And I used to be a rice pudding addict back in my day. If anybody saw me next door at the food and thought store a few years ago, I was there every day, and I knew it. That raw rice pudding, it wasn't raw, it was actually rice pudding. It had cow in there. So the whole time I'm like, oh no, I know I'm going to have some cow. It means there's going to be some more mucus and some phlegm coming. Because dairy is mucus forming.